Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are watching this live stream from. I am so happy to be here with you live today. One of my very first live streams that I've ever done, and I'm so glad that you have taken the time to just share the next few minutes with me and allow me to share some wonderful lessons that I recently learned from a very special person. So if we haven't formally met yet, or maybe we haven't had a conversation, let me just introduce myself to you. I am Kelly Mergler, and I am such a passionate person when it comes to leadership. And I'm so excited to be here with you today just to share some of the greatest lessons I learned from my mentor, John C. Maxwell, in a very personal conversation that happened this week on my platform, Coffee with Kelly. So I'm going to check the comments. Let me just see who we have in the room and let's know who's here. I see Lisa Stannard is in the room. Good morning. I see Gina Rosa sending you a big hug. I see Rocky in California. I see Fadia. I see, Shelly, so good to see all of you. So it's so nice to be able to know that I am surrounded with such a wonderful tribe. And guys, you know it, if everybody's asking, I brought Coffee with Kelly, my signature mug. For those of you that don't know about Coffee with Kelly, this is the signature mug from Coffee with Kelly that we call in the Coffee with Kelly tribe our hug in a mug. And we call it that because in the platform Coffee with Kelly, just to give you a quick insight about how this conversation with John C. Maxwell actually started and how we got there, Coffee with Kelly actually originated back in March of 2020. And it was right when we went on lockdown from the pandemic. And just like all of you, I was feeling really nervous and really scared about where my business was going to go. So I just had this idea, and I've always been a coffee addict. Those of you that may have followed me on LinkedIn, you know that I absolutely love, and I'm obsessed with Starbucks. I read a word on the cup every single day to kind of put some inspiration out there to the world and give a message. But I thought it would be nice to start just organically a virtual coffee shop during the beginning of lockdown. And that was back March 23rd of 2020. Didn't know where it was going to go. Didn't have any clue what was going to happen from it. But let me tell you, Coffee with Kelly has become something very special out there in our world. And that's how this whole platform started and how and what attracted John to come on last Saturday. So just for those of you that are wondering, how do you get involved with Coffee with Kelly? I want to just invite you. Tomorrow is our next live Coffee with Kelly that I host on Zoom. I host it Mondays and Fridays from 8 to 9 Eastern Standard Time on Zoom. And I open it up to anyone around the world. Coffee with Kelly is a place where people can come and feel safe. They can come and feel encouraged. They can come for a pit stop on their way into work or before logging into their workday and just get what we like to call in the tribe some leadership caffeine. On Mondays, we start with a leadership lesson and intention of the week. This past Monday, we talked about reflection, and we put it into action during the week. And on Fridays, we come back, and Fridays are all about having fun and celebrating and just encouraging each other on the action that we took or potentially the failure that we've had, because a lot of times there's a lot of people in the tribe that are really struggling and having a good time. And that's the power of the Coffee with Kelly tribe, is we all surround each other with love and no judgment. And Coffee with Kelly is where anyone can come Mondays and Fridays where they can feel valued and they can feel heard. So that's what Coffee with Kelly is. And I have a very special message to share about a very special guest that the Coffee with Kelly tribe had on this past Saturday. So those of you that have been following me, you know that for many years, I've talked about John Maxwell. I've shared with you many conversations that I have had with him and how my relationship started. So a lot of you know my story, but this Saturday was an absolute monumental moment in my life. And what I did was I invited John onto Coffee with Kelly to pour into my Coffee with Kelly tribe. All of the people, clients, friends, family that have been by my side since my reinvention of walking away from my corporate career after 21 years to follow what I know is my calling and my purpose, which is to help people and leaders be the best version of who they already are, to help ignite that spark and that fire that we all have within us that sometimes just gets lost because of the hamster wheel a lot of us sometimes get stuck on in our lives, just like I did. So my purpose and my calling is to really surround my tribe with wonderful leaders and pour leadership caffeine into them so they can take what they learn and use it in their life. So my journey with John started back in 2014, and John has been pouring into my leadership and my growth for almost 7 years now. And I wanted to invite him into my platform so my tribe could understand how much he has meant to me and how much I have learned from him, so then they in return could also experience the leadership of John C. Maxwell. So what I did is, and I wanted to share with you some of my 3 greatest takeaways from that intimate conversation that we had this past Saturday. And I will be sharing the replay as soon as I have it, so I'm excited to share it with all of you in the full length. But I wanted to at least give you 3 nuggets that I personally went back and reflected on since Saturday and took a few days to kind of just soak it all in and understand what value he really added, not to only me, but to almost 145 people on Saturday. So now, John doesn't need an introduction, but to have John C. Maxwell in the room on my platform was a very big deal. And for those of you that know John, he's written 86 books. He is a New York Times bestseller. He was given the Mother Teresa Global Peace Prize and Leadership Award. And he has spoken on the biggest stages in the world and poured into presidents of nations. He's coached the biggest companies in the world. And he is someone that really has taught me everything about how to be a better leader. And so here are 3 of my takeaways that there were so many. I mean, I was writing pages of takeaways after I went back and watched the replay, but I want to share with you 3 that I wrote down to hopefully give you something to use in your leadership and just give it back to you to maybe you can take and apply, because these are all things that John has taught me over the years that have made me be a better person, be a better leader, and allow me to just add value to more people. So John always talks about don't be the reservoir leader. And what he means by that is when you learn something that is valuable, that can help, that helps you, make sure that you are communicating that information and giving that value to others around you. And so he says, Kelly, don't be a reservoir. Don't hold in what you are learning. Make sure you're passing it forward. And he calls that being a river leader. So I'm going to be the river today, and I'm going to share with you what I took away from that hour conversation. So number 1, the one tip that I'll start with is 2 words. John says, start small. And I want all of you to think about that. All of you are in one particular journey in your life that relates to you, whether it's you're looking for a new job, whether it is you are looking for to start a business. Maybe you're looking to get a promotion in the current company that you are in, but this can apply to everyone. So start small. What does that mean? That means that mass movements never start with a mass. And he always taught me that, Kelly, when you want to start something, don't be afraid that there are not a lot of people there alongside of you. And, I am doing this LinkedIn Live, and for all I know, maybe 2 people would show up, but I had to start small. And when I think about my business, of when I left corporate America and left everything that was familiar to me to go into the unknown, that message really related to me. And I thought back when he said it again this weekend. You can't start with what you don't have. Stop waiting for what you don't have and work with what you do have. So for all of you out there, don't wait for masses of people to be by your side. You are the person that can create the action, that can start something that creates massive change. Or maybe you're someone that starts small and you create something that is massive within your own family. It doesn't have to change the world. What the key is, it changes your world. And I love how John talks about, a lot of people think, I want to go change the world. But with his new book, he called it Change Your World for a reason. And it's about starting small, that everybody everywhere can make a difference. But in order to make a difference, you have to start. And so another thing he shared with me under starting small was, the vision expands as we move, not as we think. So we have the vision, and I'm a very visionary person. I'm futuristic. Futuristic is my #1 strength if you were to look at my Gallup profile. And I'm always thinking about what I can create and where I can go. But I can think all day long. I can write it out all day long and for months. But if I don't take action and move on it, then it's not going to go anywhere. The dream won't come off the paper until I take it off the paper and put a motor behind it. John talks about, when you start small, that a lot of times we overestimate the start and we underestimate the process. So think on that for a second. We get all worked up in how it's going to look, if it's going to be perfect. I'm guilty of this. If we're going to say the right things. But where the true magic happens is in that process. And I always share with my friend Stacy, for example, the prize is in the process. And a lot of people miss that. They see the goal, but the goal, when we hit it, that's not really where we grew. We grow in the area of when we start and getting to the goal. And that's the process. So you have to start small and you have to take action on it. And in that action, that's where we really truly see true growth. The other thing with starting small is, remember, John always taught me, you are never good the first time. And think about this. I remember when I did my first keynote a few years ago, I was terrified and I wasn't good. I'm still not good and I'm working on it all the time. But where I am today, 3.5 years later versus where I was when I first started, I wasn't good. But in order for me to get better, and whatever it is you're trying to do, if you're writing a book, if you are trying to interview with a company, if you are trying to give your speech, whatever that may be, remember, you're not going to be good the first time. And it's with repetition. And John has always taught me that consistency compounds. So it's about consistency. You've got to get out there and keep trying. Keep knocking on those doors and keep chopping down that tree, because you're never going to be good at anything the first time. John talks about, he is 73 years old and he started speaking and writing when he was in his early 30s. And think about how much practice he's had. He always says, people always say I'm so good at what I do. And he jokes at it because he's like, Kelly, if I'm not good by now, I shouldn't be doing it. I have spoken to 12,000 audiences at this point. And if I'm not good, I need to find another job. So I leave that first tip with you for all of you to think about. and realize that whatever it is you're going after, you got to start small. Mass movements never started with a mass, and just be consistent in what you're doing. Tip number 2, John shared with us on Saturday, and I wrote this down. He said, self-help isn't enough. Think about that. There's a lot of people out there, maybe I'm speaking to you right now, and I hope this reaches the right person, but we can't do things alone. Nothing great has ever been accomplished alone. And it's impossible to reach your potential with just self-help. So we shared this, and he shared that how important it is that we need other perspectives to help us see our blind spots. And this is what I love about the Coffee with Kelly tribe, because now when we come together Mondays and Fridays for our leadership conversations, we have anywhere between 40 to 90 people in the room. And so we have so many different perspectives that are all engaged in this conversation. And when we say we're working on something, or we share something in our leadership that we need help with, we have at least 40 to 50 people to give us different perspectives, to encourage us, to stand with us, to give us a hand when we fall down. And so we can't accomplish anything great alone. And so John really shared this with us to get all of us thinking about that. And I wrote this down as well. It starts with self-help. We have to be willing to help ourselves. And I struggled with that for many years in my leadership. I was never willing to hear the feedback of what I needed to do better. So I didn't start with self-help. I just didn't start doing anything. And that was my challenge, is I didn't listen, and I didn't start listening until I was ready. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's when John appeared in my life. And it doesn't end there. We have to be willing to start with self-help, but we need other people in that process to come around us and help us be aware of our blind spots. The third thing that John shared with me and all of the Coffee with Kelly tribe on Saturday that I wrote down is, and this one is very important, this one speaks to my values and also what I really lead my life around, and where I've really worked a lot on myself as an individual contributor in our world is, John said, the greatest fulfillment in life is adding value to people. Just sit on that for a second. The greatest fulfillment in life is adding value to people. Can someone get that in the chat for me? Because that is such a powerful statement right there. And that is where I really give John so much credit, because I didn't understand what adding value to people really was until I met him. I thought just modeling great sales behavior and hitting big numbers and being a lead salesperson and a top producer in an organization was adding value to people. I didn't know any differently. I didn't know what I didn't know. And John was the one that finally came into my life and really spoke to me from a place of, he valued me and he saw the value in me and what I could do. And nobody in my career had ever saw and taught leadership in that manner that really connected with me. We all want to feel valued and heard. And when we're not, we're looking to feel valued and heard. And so when John says the greatest fulfillment in life is adding value to people, he says, here's a great way to look at this. John says, see everyone as a 10. And what that means is, when you meet someone, don't prejudge them. John sees everyone as a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. So everyone has potential. Everyone adds value in some way. And he sees people in that manner. And when John sees potential and hope, he will always find a way to add value to someone by making them feel valued. And so that really spoke to me, and I wanted to bring that back after Saturday because I think that's such an important statement for all of us to really think about. I do a lot of work with leaders. I work a lot with building cultures in organizations, and I work a lot with just individual employees that are working in organizations. And one of the biggest things I hear that people just very authentically speak to me about in coaching conversations, for example, are they wish that the leader that they worked for really saw their true value. Maybe they're paid well. Sometimes they do make good money, and sometimes they, have trips given to them for, being a good performer. But I can tell you, 95% of the time in my coaching conversations, people are looking for people that value them, where they can feel valued and heard and be their best and true authentic self. And so those are 3 things that John, of many things that he taught us this past Saturday, that I wanted to share with you. And just let me look for some of the comments in here and just see what we've got. So I'll put a couple of the comments up here and just share. So Michelle, thanks so much for saying that. That's right. Everyone is a 10. And when we view other people that they are a 10 also, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what they go home to, how they're treated during their day at work, how they're treated in their marriage. We don't know that. And so when people come across us in our lives, how can we bring joy and value to every person we touch, where when they interact or cross a conversation with us, they feel better than they did the moment before? And so that's what John has really instilled in me, and why I truly started Coffee with Kelly. I look at all the lessons that John taught me over the past 7 years, and Coffee with Kelly really was created for me to add value to the world in some way. And it sounds like it's just going to coffee on Mondays and Fridays for an hour. And maybe there's not much. Maybe they just have coffee, for those of you that don't know what Coffee with Kelly is about. But I credit John to the success of Coffee with Kelly, because if I never met John, I would have never known what adding value to people really look like. I would have never known what the true taste of significance felt like. And I felt success for 21 years. But John taught me also that once you taste significance, Kelly, you will never need success again. And that's so true, because when he taught me that, and I really experienced significance in my life, it allowed me the freedom to really see others as everyone has potential. Everyone else. I don't know who I'm talking to right now out there in this live world, but I hope my message today gets to the right person. Maybe you go to work and you don't feel valued. Maybe you're in a job transition right now and you're having a really hard time finding that next job. You're getting denied and denied and denied and rejection letters. You're not getting anybody to connect with you. Maybe your business is struggling right now. I don't know what it is, but I just want the person to hear that needs to hear it, that you are valued and you have potential. And if you need to borrow the belief of someone else to get you through a struggling time, then I invite you to come and visit the virtual coffee shop called Coffee with Kelly. And I have a tribe we have close to 400, we call them inspirational baristas, that are ready to serve you Mondays and Friday mornings from 8 to 9 on Zoom. And I will tell you, it's a magical coffee shop, because we learn a whole lot about life and just how to support each other and have real, live, authentic conversations while we're sipping on our hug in a mug, of course. So I leave you with this, because I know your time is valuable. Every one of you out there is a 10 in my eyes. I believe in you. I love you. And I hope that what I have poured back into you through the river of what I learned from John C. Maxwell and my tribe learned on Saturday, maybe one of those 3 tips really will speak into your heart right now where you can use and do something with it in your life. It's what you do with it that really matters, but I hope at least I've added some value to you today. So one more thing I'm going to do, because Coffee with Kelly would not be the same unless I looked for some questions here. So let me just see. I see Shelly. Hi, Rebecca. It's so good to meet you. Here, I'm going to put Rebecca's comment up here. Rebecca's going to be on Coffee with Kelly tomorrow. She is a brand new tribe member. My mom always used to say, leave things better than you found them. And this is the leadership version. That's right, Rebecca. So we can't wait to have you in the coffee shop tomorrow. And the link for Coffee with Kelly, it'll be posted in here. So keep an eye out for it. Shelly will be posting that. And then here, let's put Todd Rogers. Todd is a wonderful tribe member as well. Bingo, money is necessary, but being valued as the worthy person you are is priceless. That's so true. And I absolutely agree with that, Todd, because we can have all the zeros on our paycheck and everything, every big house, mansion, fancy car, whatever that is that we have in our lives. But what truly matters is the significance and the legacy that we leave within others that experience the joy that we bring them, hopefully. So I leave you with a quote, and here's the quote of the day for you on my quote card. If a fire can double in size every 2 minutes, what would happen if you set your passion on fire? Think about that. I thank you for being here with me. It wouldn't be Coffee with Kelly unless I danced us out. So here we go. Have a good day, everyone. And I hope I'll see some new coffee shop members tomorrow for Coffee with Kelly, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See y'all. You know I wouldn't do anything without dancing you out. That's right. Come to Coffee with Kelly, and we do a lot of dancing in the morning. Thanks, everyone, for stopping. Cheers.